Sikh Americans present since 1800s in the United States, an icon of tradition, service, and spirituality. But now, discrimination, hate violence, and justice for rights. TV Asia explores the true identity and biggest voices from the Sikh American community. Hello and welcome again to TV Asia's special feature, Sikhs in the US Army, an Inside Story with me, Aditi Lamba. This presentation is our honest attempt at showcasing some prominent voices from the Sikh American communities, as well as the growing support on a national scale for many. Sikhs in the United States have faced several obstacles, especially in the last decade, with Sikh Americans seen as targets of discrimination, hate, prejudice, and much more, stemming from the very visible and much talked about xenophobic rhetorics against Muslims seen throughout the nation post the September 11 tragic attacks. Sikhs, due to their appearances, mainly through their articles of faith, which includes them keeping a beard and wearing a turban, have been used as components of racism and hate, something we have continuously discussed in detail on our Sikh American Story segments. Hence, it's important to reflect on strong actions and voices empowering the greater Sikh community, shedding light on resilience and progressive action. Which brings us to this ongoing episode, presenting our viewers a strong mark of Sikh Americans in the US Army. In our earlier episode, we showcased a conversation with Lieutenant Colonel Kamal Kalsi on his work towards being the first American Sikh in a generation who fought for his articles of faith while serving in the forces, which led to the January 2017 U.S. Army directive guaranteeing servicemen and women the right to religious accommodations such as turbans, hijabs, and beard. A huge mark of acknowledging and honoring diversity and religious faith. We sat down with Lieutenant Kamal Kalsi at the Nanak Nam Jahaj Gurudwara, the Sikh Center of Worship in New Jersey, in which Lieutenant Colonel was joined by U.S. Army's Major Lance Jensen and Specialist Harbeen Kaur. Specialist Kaur, who is a woman U.S. Army specialist and a police officer, and Major Lance Jensen, who has given his life to the forces, both spoke on their impressions and feelings on the current status of Sikh Americans in the U.S. Army. Supportive and very familiar with Lieutenant Colonel Kalsi's fight for wearing his religious faith articles, both personalities spoke on the essence of this directive from the U.S. Army, reflecting upon the directive opening up doors for more inclusion and diversity in the military. While the three spoke on the importance of practicing one's faith and standing strong, words of resilience and power were felt by all of them.
Back in 2001, when I first joined the Army in medical school, I didn't think that it would take us almost 17 years to get a policy change for the U.S. Army.
Right.
But in 2009, I became the first Sikh to get the accommodation for turban and beard in the U.S. military, in the U.S. Army. And then it took us 10 more years after that to actually change the policy. So it was wonderful how the community really rallied behind this cause.
When talking about those included members, take us to the process of the change that has happened with tenets being allowed, as well as other religion also being practiced and tolerated in the U.S. Army.
Well, first and foremost, it's the duty to the country and the mission of the military that comes first. And the religious tolerance piece is to allow any religion to be respected within the military, not just the Army, but all branches of the military.
When you're talking about the Sikh American population, Major, there is a lot of emotions of members being scared members still not knowing if they should practice their identity, still not having a full faith or confidence in if they should take their word out and be vocal on any topic that affects them. When you look at that, and when you look at the proportion of Sikh Americans in the US military, in the US Army right now, what would you like to suggest to those personalities or people that are feeling that fear?
Be proud of who you are and where you came from, and celebrate that. Educate your peers, educate anyone who asked, and be tolerant of the people who ask the questions, because they don't know, or if they do know, right, we don't have a place for those people. But just tolerance, and feel free to share that background, your history, your culture, your religion, and inform them and be that mentor.
Do you see a personal struggle of yours right now as well in the Army when you are supporting all these minorities and ethnicities and religion?
I don't feel that at all. I have support from my commanding officers, and it's also part of our policy for the Department of Defense is to have those inclusions and respect for all members of the service, no matter what their rank is, no matter where they come from, and as long as they're willing to serve their country with honor and respect, then we need to return that same honor and respect to them.
Talk to us about your current key roles, as well as how your journey has been so far working as a South Asian woman, as a Sikh American.
In the community where I live and I work, it's great to see. Yes, it's great to see the reactions that I get sometimes. I've had people stare me down because I think they're trying to determine, like, is she really Indian? Yes. And I've also gotten a great amount of support from my community. I've had many people come up to me and tell me that they're proud of me if they're Indian, and they're like, we're really shocked to see you. Like, this is the first time I've seen a Sikh girl that's in the police force. Or when people find out that I'm in the military, also they just think that it's great that I chose these two fields. It is great, and it's great to see that people appreciate you. We've been talking about, like, women, or not women, but men having Sikh men having issues with the whole, turban, and having our religious faith, and enlisting in the military as an officer or as an enlisted person. As a female, I have never really felt like I was left out, or I haven't been able to do something because of who I am or what my background is. It's my unit is great with everything like that. They are very welcoming. Anytime I go to work, it could be law enforcement or it could be the military, I would never want to be looked at as she's a female, or as her religious background is different from the rest of the people that are there. I go to a work with an attitude of, I want the guys to be able to rely on me, just like they would rely on any of the guys that are working.
We have a lot more on the other side of the break. Stay with us on this TV Asia special.